It's a Friday. The Cowboys get busy at 3:25 on Sunday afternoon. They will not be off at noon or 3. They got an evening game, and it matters. Let's talk to the head coach of your Dallas Cowboys. He's always brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. His name is Mike McCarthy, and he's here with us. Good morning, Coach. How are you today?
Doing well. Good morning. How you excuse me, how are you men doing today?
We're doing great, Coach. Different week, though. As you talked about earlier in the week, the football kind of took the back seat. Have you guys gotten back to some normalcy as trying to get prepared for this game? I know in your presser you talked about, hey, right now we're just at the Chaplain. We're just trying to get a sense of how the guys are feeling mentally. Have you guys gotten back to some normalcy since everything that went down with Damar Hamilton Monday night?
Yeah, I would say so. I think obviously everybody still has a heavy heart, but frankly, I think there was a lot of energy yesterday when we were told about all the progress that Damar made in the last 24 hours. So that's been in a number of ways very uplifting because obviously I think this is clearly a reflection of the power of prayer, and that's really at the forefront of everybody's minds. So. But yeah, yesterday's practice was a good practice. We had the pads on early and took them off for the team period. So the individual work was good. But yeah, it was a good solid day, and the energy was good in the meeting. So I felt good about the work yesterday.
Coach Mike McCarthy joining us here on San Antonio Sports Star. And before we start diving into the game, playoff scenarios, and all that kind of stuff, speak to what you said it again, and certainly you've been very upfront about the importance of faith in your locker room. You speak often about when the chapel service is going to be, and that was a thread in what you've been doing with the Cowboys since you arrived. And with this happened, and the idea of a kinsman, a brother suffering like that, what does that do for your team, and how do you address bringing your team together, and how did you deal with getting your guys to the energy that you got yesterday?
Oh, I just feel strongly having the opportunity to be, part of this league for 3 decades. Every organization, the climate of every organization is different. That's the uniqueness of what we have here with the Dallas Cowboys. But you're always building the culture that you feel gives you the best opportunity to be successful, and the success has to start players off the field. And we talk quite often, I know since the day I arrived, that we're about family and football. And the Jones family is a very close family, and it's something that permeates through the whole organization. So to me, is when this happened, it was just really a focal point of practice what you preach. It's about family. I mean, this is these NFL players have an unbelievable bond. They're special. They're unique. Their brotherhood is something that is there's such an uncommon closeness with these guys. Everybody's knows each other, or you're one place or one person removed. I mean, that's how close knit the brotherhood of the NFL locker room is. So that hit close to home for everybody. And just like anything, Damar has personal relationships with players in our locker room, two teammates, workout partners, and so I just think it's just really and the response of everyone around this situation is it's been miraculous, and I think it just shows you the good in our society. And unfortunately, it takes times like this or a tragic event to bring that to the forefront. So. I've just been so impressed with the love and support around Damar, the Bills organization, and the Bengals organization, and everybody involved.
Well said,
Coach. Looking forward to Sunday afternoon against the Commanders. Is this one of those weeks where you remind the youngsters that don't remember the 80s and 90s?
Like
I know you talked about it before, like showing videos and stuff. Like this, one of those weeks where you remind them, hey, we hate these guys. Let's lock in.
Yeah, definitely. I think just like anything, every week there's an educational component to it. And when we played Washington early in the season, we definitely we have a video, and we talk about the history of the rivalry. History is important. Tradition and history of the Dallas Cowboys is is really part of our responsibility. And I think it's a tremendous asset to have that in place. So, but yeah, our players all understand the division rivalry and the history of it. And, but I think just with the uniqueness of this week, I think everybody's really working extra hard, emotionally and mentally to keep their eye on the target, and that's about getting this 13th win.
Well, your players might know who George Allen is. Do they have any idea who Sam Howell is?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when you walk through the halls here, the Pro Bowl players and the history of all the great players and teams. I know it's something that I walk by 4 or 5 times a day. So yeah, it was cool. I think our players are very much in tune with the history of the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, as you're prepping, you're getting ready for a quarterback that we don't know who he is. Sam Howell, you got games going on at the same time. Is it hard to look at it like it's the end of the season and it's not necessarily a playoff game, but everything matters when it does and it doesn't?
Well, I think just like anything in this game, there's always video available. Just go to YouTube. So
your kids taught you that one, Coach.
Yeah, no, I just got to get them off TikTok. Yeah, but so
I know.
Yeah. So we obviously our personnel department was on it, and we were on it early in the week with just the possibility of Sam playing. And when they announced the starter, we just try to identify his mannerisms from the preseason games and his tape from North Carolina. And but end of the day, it's when you look at Washington on film and if you just look at their statistics, I mean this is a extremely efficient offense. So conceptually and how they run their offense, I don't think there's going to be a lot of change. I think we may see some variations of things they've done conceptually and schematically. But I think I think he'll play to that system, and but it's just more about his ability to play in the pocket and out of the pocket. He can extend plays, and so that's something that just our rush lane discipline has to be needs to be better, and so that'll definitely be a focus in passing situations Sunday.
Coach, in Green Bay, you had a quarterback that was very dominant of the NFC North. I know Tom Brady had his reign over the AFC East and Peyton Manning as well in the AFC South. But when you look at Dak's record versus the NFC East, it's 27-6. But it feels like outside the media, the fans, we don't put him in that category of guys that have just owned a division, 60 touchdowns, 80 INTs. Does that just come with the fact that he hasn't won the big game, or are we just overlooking Dak in that 27-6 record versus the NFC East?
That's a great question. I think that not that you guys don't have nothing but great questions.
Well, no, I know what you mean.
We were due.
That's one of your better great questions. But,
Mark the tape. Right
appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, mark that spot. But I think clearly, I think it's a little bit of everything you've stated. I think he, until you win the big one, you really don't get the credit that you probably deserve. And, I think really, part of the climate here in Dallas, it's playing quarterback here is a very, very tough position. Just from the external, responsibilities and things you have to deal with. So I think it's a lot of that, but the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, you can't take away production and facts, and he's played at an extremely high level. And I think I've said this before on the show. I go back to my first impression of Dak was in 2016 when him and Zeke were rookies, and they came to Lambeau Field, and I was just so impressed with him that day. And I think it's like a lot of things in this game. We all watch so much tape, and you're studying from afar. But the quarterback position, in my opinion, you really don't know until you stand on the field with those guys what they're all about. And we all know what Dak's all about, and he's been unbelievable for us.
And on that same thread, Coach, congratulations to you. Second year in a row, 12 or better wins, looking at 13, a franchise record. Proof is in the record book as well. Congratulations on a well-coached and fun season. As we head into the playoffs, though, there are the nebulous ideas about what's going to happen next week, and you've been asked the question about, are you going to be paying attention to the other games? I mean, what is the strategy here? Not that you're going to divulge anything, but
Right.
the idea of 20 minutes in, the whole paradigm shifts. What do you do?
Well, I mean, if you've been to games on the road, I mean, they're not much different than home. I mean, there's scoreboards, and they put the scores of the other games up. So, my point is, I don't think it's anything that you can hide from. So I mean, it's there in the stadium. But personally, I won't be watching the scoreboard. But I think there's a good chance that I'll be updated on the score of some games over the course of the game. But I really don't want to hear about it until after halftime because it's real irrelevant. Because I mean, and I'm not just saying this because everybody says it, but it's so true. It is so damn hard to win a game in this
Truth.
league.
Yes.
There's motivation each week, regardless of what your record is. If you have 8 wins, 3 wins, 12 wins, there's always motivation. And these players they're special. They're unique, and what they do for a living is unique. And the way they play this game is such a big part of the greatness of this game. So this will be a hard-fought game, like it should be, and we're going in to win it. And if we don't have that mindset, then it's definitely not going to help us.
How are y'all guys looking injury-wise?
Yeah.
Speaking Tony Pollard, I know Micah seems like he's a little bit banged up. How are you guys looking injury-wise, Coach?
I look good. No, I feel good about where we are physically. Tony's good at. Who else you want to talk about it? We've got a couple guys that.
Tyler,
who would you like to pull in the third quarter? Who would you like to pull in the third quarter?
Who gets
Coach?
To watch?
If somebody should pass along the score.
That's the problem with that mindset. You can't. You only have 48 players. I mean, that works in preseason when when your roster's at 90, or at 80. But it's 48 players, and you start pulling players. You're stressing out you potentially stressing out some other positions.
But
that's what I'm saying. You got. That's why you either got to go play or not play. I mean, it's just that in between. It just creates stress in other areas.
Real quick, we're talking about the last game of the season. Is it ever a consideration when players have bonus structures where this gets happened and I get an extra 8, whatever it might be? Is that ever even discussed? And we can talk about it in previous situations or friends that you have, but there are some guys that could make some money this week, not necessarily in the Cowboys, but other places. Is that ever even discussed?
I've never been part of a meeting leading into a game that that had financial ramifications where you take a player and try to advance him. But I think there's some common knowledge.
Right.
I mean, like if a running back's close to 1,000 yards, let's get him over 1,000 yards. It'd be great.
That's
but,
awesome.
I mean, yeah. So I think there's some some definite common sense goals and thresholds you like to see individual performance give these guys a chance to complete their season. Yeah, but I've never. I think it's very healthy in now working at at 2 places. It's very healthy for the head coach not to be directly involved in the finances because if I was in charge of paying the players, Jerry would be out of money.
Fair enough. Absolutely.
I love it.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on a great season. We look forward to talking with you next week, as we always do. We bid you good health. We'll talk to you next Friday.
All right, gentlemen. Have a great weekend.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Head coach of your Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, as always, brought to you by AA Bell Bonds.